Perfect. Great. I have some notes with me, if you don't mind. This age, I need to make notes, otherwise I leave out some stuff. So welcome everyone. Thank you for joining this webinar today. We're going to discuss solutions on solving the youth unemployment problem in South Africa and getting effective solutions there. During this webinar, I will discuss the different challenges that we faced addressing the youth unemployment crisis. And I'm also going to propose a solution that people can get involved with. I know there's many solutions out there, but this is quite a unique solution that has been proven and tested in Africa. Just a little bit about me. I'm Willem Gous. I've been an entrepreneur for 22 years. I am an international speaker on leadership, innovation, and entrepreneurship. I also have my master's degree in information systems management. I sit on the advisory board for the professional interest group of the University of Liverpool Management School, as well as the customer experience world. And for fun, I am a dad and also a firewalking instructor. Then just a little bit of housekeeping today, what's going to happen. And the flow is, I know you all have somewhere else to be, so I'm not going to keep you here the whole day. I'm not in the mood for webinars that just drag on forever. So the webinar bit will be about 20-25 minutes at max, and then we'll go into a Q&A section. If during the presentation you have any questions, just pop it in the chat so that you don't forget. You know, me sometimes feels like I'm living in Men in Black, and whenever I read something, my mind goes and flashes me again. So use the chat as much as you can and as much as you want. The Q&A will go until the end or until people have run out of questions. What we're going to cover is, why we need to go small to go big. Also, solutions that we have that work in Africa instead of just the typical first world entrepreneurial approach that we most have. So let's start with that. So South Africa's unemployment is a ticking time bomb. I think if you look back at the unrest that we had and the looting that we had last year in July 2021, I think that it has the possibility of becoming a regular occurrence if we don't address it now. Our youth unemployment stands at over 65%, edging close. I think it's much higher than that in any case. And you have to understand the situation that people face on the ground. If you don't have an income and you have hungry mouths to feed, many of the youth that I work with, and I've worked with a few thousand, they have children. And imagine your kid asking you for food. You know, my son once asked me that question. I said, dude, I will steal and everything to get food for you. And that's being a father. And we need to give people an option that they can get out of that. And the current feeling that people have on the ground is they're being pushed in a corner and into a corner. And you know what happens when you push people into a corner. Now, you attending the webinar can go, okay, cool, this is fine, but it doesn't bother me much. It doesn't impact me at all. Well, it might not impact you now, but if we have a population that gets poorer and poorer and poorer by the time, we can't. Eventually it'll impact your business negatively, not just your business, but your family and their future as well. And there are many solutions to this crisis. One is grants, which I'm definitely not a big fan of, because it creates a dependency and an expectation, but also the stress on the fiscal is just unsustainable. As far as I can read in the news, we do have a shrinking tax base, and thus it doesn't make it much sustainable. The one answer that a lot of people look at, one of the solutions is entrepreneurship. What I like about entrepreneurship, it leads to the expansion of commercial activity. And that's what we need. And it's a creation of economic growth. Once people start spending into the economy, I always like to use in the class, you have 10 people standing in a circle and you give one person 100 Rand and they buy each from somebody, the person next to them, they buy $100. We've created 1,000 Rand in value for that. And that's what we need. When we start creating jobs in mass, you have mass participation within the economy. But before we get into the whole entrepreneurship thing, because, you know, there's a lot of debate about what it is, what it isn't, what should be developed and what shouldn't be developed. The University of Cape Town has an online income comparison tool. Go and search for it and you will find it. And it is very sad once you start using the tool, because you realize that if you earn a salary of 1,500 Rand per month, let me reiterate that, 1,500 Rand per month, you are in the top 40% of salary earners. That means that 60% of people survive every month with less than $100, less than 1,500. If you do 7,500 Rand, you're in the top 10%. And if you do 20,000, you're a 1%. So that is scary as hell. But it also comes with a blessing. There's an upside to that. There's a silver lining to this bad situation. The thing is, if you take somebody living on 2,000 Rand a month to 4,000, their living standard, quality, and what they can do and their future starts to shift and to change dramatically. 2 weeks ago, we were training a few hundred ladies on the first part of our Entrepreneurial Awakening course. And I remember the one class, we had about 30 ladies in there. And I asked them, how many of you do not own a washing machine? And I'd say about 7 people raised their hand. Now imagine, I don't know if you've ever had the displeasure of having to wash clothing with your hands. It takes forever and it doesn't spin dry. So it takes double the time to dry as well. So it makes life very difficult. If you can uplift somebody to a level where they can rent a better place with running water and a washing machine, their life already changed. And that's the journey that we need to awaken people on. That's where we need to look at entrepreneurship, not on a level there like, go from zero to hero. That doesn't work. I mean, Graham and I work in the innovation space, and an overnight success usually takes about 10 years, but we don't have 10 years to wait to have jobs created. So entrepreneurship is the solution, and it is possible to help the youth to go from having nothing to earning a proper living in a matter of weeks. Let me show you an example of this. Here's a short 1.5 minute video that'll show you what is possible with the youth of South Africa.
I should actually go and start my business on the same day. So like today, like I start today in the business today. So okay, my business is, I'm in the food business. I sell cow legs and pap, or like traditional food ones and everything. So at first, like it was not like with a couple of hundreds like in a day. Wasn't really that much. But as like I progressed and everything, I actually upped my stock to actually make more money. So in a good day, I would make like 500 Rand in a good day. So like my weekly income would be 3.5. So in a week I make 3.5. So what I'm looking for now is like finding a consistent financial flow for my business. So if like I can make 3.5 in a week, why can't I just make 4,000 and like 5,000? So that's where I'm at now. So basically, this program helped me to actually not depend on like applying for jobs, because honestly, I don't really like the idea of working for somebody else. Like it doesn't sound really good. So that's where I'm at now, and I'm also looking into extending. So hopefully in a couple of years, like I'll have like my own spot, you can say.
Right. That is important. She's 24 and she built a food business. Now that's a very simple and quick business to build, but we've seen youth start with mechanics, poultry farming, school transport, internet cafes, anything is possible. But as you could see, within a matter of weeks, she went past what most people have on a week, what most people live on for a month. And that's a simple way that we can do it. Now, yes, developing entrepreneurs quite nice. I think there's a few people in the room who do entrepreneurial development, but it comes with quite a few challenges. And and I want to address these because if we need to overcome these challenges in order to make entrepreneurship truly the tool to unlock employment in South Africa. The first thing is it takes too long. If you look at your typical entrepreneurial development program, say 6 months, 12 months, I've stumbled across 2-year ones, and it's a very long time. What you have to understand is most people in South Africa don't have resources, enough resources to last them longer than 72 hours, maybe. So now you come to somebody and go like, okay, let's over a 12-month period, a 6-month period, you might have a business with a customer and a little bit of profit. People are hungry now. They need a solution now. And that's the major disconnect that we have with that. The result and what's needed is very far removed. And I've seen very high drop-off rates on some of these programs, although some of them keep them in. But also what a lot of people try to do then is address this issue. Because now it's a long-term program. Number one, it takes a lot of resources, so it's a very expensive program. Number two, now people say, well, I need to earn while I'm building this business. And then you start adding stipends and all the nice things that go with that, and that bloats the project cost even more and more and more. I've seen 12-month programs running anything from about 150,000 to 300,000 Rand per person. Now, I'm not going to slate these programs. I am not here to tell you all, okay, let's stop these long-term programs. No, I'm not here to pick a fight. Okay, the time for a fight now is not what's needed. It's about looking at the whole value chain. These programs have their value, but we need to get functioning, experienced entrepreneurs into them quicker. Entrepreneurs that can already look after themselves, so it can bring down the program cost and the interaction that they have, so that we can save and create a larger success down the line. One other thing that we need to shift as well, another challenge, is that a lot of people see a business needs to grow and then employ people. They forget that the business itself, a business owner, created a job for themselves. Now, I can hear the choir in the back, oh, but Willem, that's not a real business. That's a job. And I say, so what? Really? Are we going to have semantics and keep people out of earning a living and looking after their family purely because we believe, oh, no, that's not the right way? We should stop this little fighting about, yeah, it's about the right way. I see entrepreneurs, somebody who starts a business, that is perfect. And if you work in the small business environment, you will realize most people anyway have that situation in their business, and that's fine. You know, it is a process and a progress that you go through, but to expect somebody to do everything right, to plan the business, to work on your business, have all the systems from day one, is an absolute ridiculous requirement. And let's just start by creating a business and creating a job. And I'll share some more information about that later on. What we need to do to fix this problem is we need to go small in order to go big. That is a very critical thing. Now, currently, if you look at this, there's a lot of money being spent on small business development. And that's fine. Small businesses are 10 employees and up, and with turnovers of 5 million and more. And that's great. But to get a business on that level might take you 3, 5, maybe even 10 years. That is a very long time, and we don't have time for that. And it's also expensive to create these types of sizes of businesses, because then they require funding and all of these little things that go with it. What we need to focus on instead is micro enterprises. Now, a lot of people do not understand micro enterprises. I say, but Willem, that's a one-man business. They're like, no. If you look at the South African government's definition of a micro enterprise, you're looking at 10 people or less with a turnover between 0 and 5 million rand per annum. I mean, if I have a small consultancy with 4 people and I'm doing 5 million in revenue per annum, that is a damn good business. Nothing wrong with that. And if you really look and work with a lot of small businesses like I have in my 22 years, most are anyway micro enterprises. They just didn't know it. So if you're below 10, you're on a micro enterprise level already. So my perspective, why I propose this, why I'm saying we should go to the micro enterprise is quite simple. It's based on actual work that I've done out there. You saw the video of Mpo, who started her business, but we've been doing this since 2020. So November 2020, we took 57 young people from Diepsloot and Orange Farm, and they had to build a business in 21 days that make enough profit to financially sustain themselves. Now, 30 businesses were created in that 21 days, 73% were women-owned. And even afterwards, they only had 21 days of exposure to us. We left them alone, no mentorship, no coaching, no support whatsoever. And even 6 months later and past that, 53% were still trading and profitable, providing jobs for 25 people. That is very impressive. The thing that stands out for me, though, is during that period of time, an additional 14 businesses were created. Thus, it shows that given the right training and mindset and approach to entrepreneurship that is contextualized to Africa and the unique circumstances that people face, you awaken resilience, adaptability, and resourcefulness. And those are very key entrepreneurial traits that we need to develop. Why is that important? Because we reduced the time of job creation through entrepreneurship from about 12 months to 5 weeks or less. Yes, that's a very important thing, because now we can create jobs through entrepreneurship in weeks and months instead of years and decades. Because, ladies and gents, we need to start addressing this issue very well and quite quickly. So why does it work? Why does this specifically work compared to other programs out there? Number one, it was made in Africa for Africa and proven in Africa. And we use an apprenticeship philosophy in this. And also because we're more suited to the needs of the entrepreneurs in Africa. To give you a great example of this, one of my trainers, so currently with my training capacity, we can deliver 500 businesses per month, and we can take that to 1,000 businesses per month in 30 to 60 days. He had his own incubator, and he took more than 1,000 businesses through Lean Startup Weekend. And he said to me, Willem, we always try to adapt that to work on micro enterprises and really get the people on the ground to get into entrepreneurship, but we could never really get that to work. But what you've done here is you really contextualized it, made it relevant and applicable to the people who need entrepreneurship most. And that's why we provide support, training, and practical experience. That's a critical thing about that process, because the problem with your lean startup process, not that I'm against lean startup. I mean, business model canvas, I learned from Osterwalder himself. Lean startup, I learned from Ash Murai as well. And I studied them and I applied them. Very good. But if you look at a first world environment, because lean startup, you need to take through the iteration phase. It takes time and it requires money. And most of the time it requires funding. None of the businesses that we create require any funding. And if you're in a first world environment, you usually have the support structures in place to help you to get through that, you know, transport, cheap internet access, healthcare, and much more. In Africa, we don't have that infrastructure. And that's why we need something in Africa that can awaken people and get them into this journey much quicker, much cheaper, and much more sustainably. Because then later on, once you're a bigger business, that's when lean startup really can come to its power and help these companies. But in order to awaken the entrepreneurial spirit in Africa, we need to take it and make it relevant and contextual to the people on the ground. Now, like I said, a micro enterprise, 10 or less employees, annual revenue of between 0 and 5 million. Now, there's quite a few benefits to building micro enterprises. What I like about that is shorter time to create. We can create this in weeks. Cost less to create. We require no funding to start these businesses. Failure is less of an issue. It's more inclusive. A lot of the time that I see, people are looking for the top 3% out of 100 people, 3 out of 100 who are the entrepreneurs. And I go, no. Instead of looking for a needle in a haystack, give me the haystack. And I'll turn the whole haystack into business owners, and the needles will be found automatically. Because now it's more accessible to a wider range of people. I've had people in my classes going, I've never had a business. I never thought of starting a business. I'm going to give this a try. And then they build a successful business quite quickly. It also has a rapid impact on poverty. You quickly get people out of a poverty situation. And that's important. There's a great TED talk out there. The title, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, or just search for it. Poverty is not a mindset issue. It's a cash flow issue. And they did research on Indian seasonal workers. And they found out of season, when they have no money and they're struggling financially, the cognitive impact is as high as 15 IQ points. That's why my one mentor said to me, Willem, never be poor. Poverty leads to poor decision-making, which leads to more poverty, to more poor decision-making. And it's a cycle that you can never get out of. But with this, rapidly we take people out of poverty by helping them build a business in a matter of weeks. It also awakens them. I always tell people I can take that glazed look out of somebody's eyes in 24 to 48 hours. Also, it has a fast and wider impact on the local economy. Imagine you create 100 jobs through 100 businesses within a place like Diepsloot, where I'm actively working now. That's 100 families actively participating in the local economy. And that's what you have to take a look at and work on that. The benefits of a micro enterprise is you have to think about it as like watering a dying garden from the roots upward. If we start creating hundreds of micro enterprises, it'll lead to great entrepreneurs that can feed into other programs and not just stimulate the local economy, but also the whole entrepreneurial development ecosystem. We need to restart the whole system from the ground up. You can't just go and focus on the top layer and think, yeah, the bottom layer. You can't build a house if you don't have proper foundations in place. And developing micro enterprises, hundreds of them, in a very short space of time, is creating that solid foundation that we're looking for. So what we've done here is we created, after the president said at the last State of the Nation address, where he said, listen, we can't create jobs. Thank you for saying that at last. We need to look at private sector. But if you've ever been in this industry, you know it's an expensive exercise. It's usually reserved for government enterprise and big corporates. But that's quite an issue there. Smaller businesses, the bulk of the economy or businesses are small businesses, small and medium enterprise, and a lot of them are micro. And they don't know how to get involved. They don't have the cash flow for that or anything else. But now we made it possible through this project that businesses as small as 1 million in annual turnover can get involved in the whole process, even individuals. We call it pass the torch. We create entrepreneurs faster than ever before. See, because it's up to us to fix employment faster than better. Because what happens now, you can sponsor a singular job through our proven formula that we've proven and developed over the past since 2020. Because now when you sponsor one job, we will create one entrepreneur with a business making enough profit to financially sustain themselves. You get tax benefits as well, BEE points, and we share the journey with you. So we share with you when the cohort that your sponsorship is part of, you get to, we send you pictures and videos that you can share with your clients and say, look at the great work. We can turn the tide in South Africa. What I do not allow, though, is individual sponsorships. That creates an ownership relationship and also privacy issues. Don't want to have that. Respect people and their journey. Just help a group of people move forward. Like I said, you get tax benefits, BEE points. We share the experience with you. You can even come and attend the graduation that we do. We have the right partners in place. It's always nice to have, let's do that with me. But now we have management partners, and we have Katie Strategies in there to assist with the ESD, but also Hollyjade Consulting doing the measurement and evaluation. So we have a rigorous measurement and evaluation process run by a third party, and then WVW Financial Services, making sure that the money sponsored is allocated to the right projects, which is very important. Currently, we have relationships with many other impact companies and organizations working within the communities. Why I mentioned Deep Sleuth Foundation now is that we got the first 10 jobs sponsored once we just launched it. There we go. I want to say thank you to the sponsors. 2 weeks after we launched the project, the first people said, yes, let's do it. So we got the first 10 jobs sponsored. This is me and the managing director of Deep Sleuth Foundation late last week, talking to potential candidates that'll go onto the program, what we're going to do. And we are starting with the actual program next Wednesday and Thursday, and then the apprenticeship starts after that. So we're going to aim to create no less than 10 jobs. You'll see we'll take 30 people into the program and aim to create no less than 10. If we create 20, perfect. If I can create 30, perfect. No cost impact, nothing. We just increase the impact. So we're always going to go for more than we promise. This is how it happens. We do a pre-screening, then they go into the Entrepreneurial Awakening course, which is 1.5 to 2 days long, the theory base, where we teach them about entrepreneurial, the concepts, but also starting with the human first. The human entrepreneur starts with the individual first. And then we take them into the apprenticeship side, the business creator pre-incubator, and then they have to build a business with customers making enough profit to financially sustain themselves in 4 weeks. That's the funnel approach that we do. We will run a cohort once we have 10 jobs sponsored, but we can take up to a larger group as well. That's just our bare minimum, but it also makes it then possible to work with smaller organizations and smaller communities. What happens afterwards? We try to find other programs that can fit into, because it's a nice feeder for other programs. But also we'll look at possibly extending mentorship into these, but we'll speak to the sponsors once they've gone through. So to sponsor a singular job is 22,000. Remember, you can get up to 28% back in tax benefits. So quite affordable. Like I said, a company of 1 million and up can get involved into sponsoring one of these jobs. So there's great application to this. You can talk to clubs, Lions clubs, chambers, churches, and everything else can go like, yeah, let's run it for our community and get businesses involved, and we sponsor jobs and uplift the community. So we'll go and do it within your community, not just always, oh, we're only doing it in Diepsloot. No, because we need to solve it across South Africa. Also, businesses in specific areas. So a small town, all the businesses can pull together and say, okay, cool, let's run a program for the town, for the people of the town, and create jobs for the town. You can do it with your customers. If you're a bigger business and you have a deep customer base, go like, hey, dudes, let's get involved in this. One accounting firm, they have 1,000 customers on their books. So they're talking to their customers to say, okay, how many jobs are we going to sponsor? You're part of this group. Let's do this. Let's make it happen. If you're a big corporate, play a match situation with your customers. Say, well, for every job that you sponsor, we'll match you on that. Also, we're downstream from skills development. So a lot of skills development is happening now. People can turn that skill into a profitable business. Talking about that, this morning I posted a video. We're looking for 25 sponsorships for agri entrepreneurs in Diepsloot, 25 different locations. They teach people how to grow vegetables large scale. So they're doing it very well, good quality veggies, everything going well, but the program ends in a few months and then they're out and they sit because they haven't gotten the entrepreneurial training yet to turn that into a profitable business. So we want to take these 25 agri entrepreneurs and turn them into proper business owners making money. So if you want to get involved in that, please reach out to us. Reduce recidivism. You can use this to keep people out of jail, because nobody gives people out of jail a job, but now we can help them build a business in a matter of weeks so they don't have to turn to crime to make a living. You can use this as a strategic use of your sponsorship. Test ideas, see what products and stuff work in different environments. You can even use it for the retrenched employees. I had a corporate reach out to me yesterday. They're going to let 500 people go, and we're looking at taking people through this so we don't lose that economic activity of those 500 people. If you have a unique idea, reach out. We always make a plan. Let's make a plan and make this happen. If you need me to do the talking to your board, to your stakeholders, reach out to me. I already have quite a few speaking engagements for next month planned. So this is a Q&A section. If you have any questions, please shoot off now. I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank you for your attention. It means a lot to me. Any questions? Greg, I see you posted the link to the YouTube, to that talk there. Well done. Thank you for that, ladies and gentlemen. I suggest you talking to. If you want to ask a question, just unmute yourself. And let me know. Tawanda, is that you?
Yes, I'm Tawanda. How are you?
I'm doing well, Tawanda. Thank you for attending the webinar. What question do you have?
Yes, I see on your website you've got SDGs, SDG 1 there.
Yes.
Have you looked at like what an unemployment rate of 35% is relative to what it was during the Great Depression?
Well, in the Great Depression, the American Great Depression, and
Yes.
if you look at the pictures, it's horrendous. That was 25%,
Yes.
25.
Yes.
So
Yep.
we're way past that.
Yep. But my point is, people don't realize that, and as a result, they don't do enough like it's a miracle really that we actually have anything functional in South Africa at the moment,
Yes.
because we are way past the Great Depression levels.
Mm.
So what we are doing needs to be multiplied like at least 1 million times.
Yes.
So that it takes us to the correct to the 5% or 10% range.
Yes.
In unemployment. So
Absolutely.
do you get any support therefore from government, or do you have ways of soliciting for that?
I'm glad you're asking that question. I want to answer your question in two ways. Number one, our training capacity currently, we can develop 500 businesses per month. We can take that to 1,000 in 30 to 60 days, but we can probably take that up to 5,000 over a 6-month period. Okay.
Yep.
So that will start having a remarkable impact. Imagine you create just 100 new businesses in a place like Diepsloot every month. That'll change the outlook of that place completely. Working with the government, it would be nice. A few people from government are talking to me, but that's why I launched Pass the Torch, because those programs take long. You start having that conversation, and in 8 or 18 months, you might get an answer.
Yes.
But we can't wait that long anymore. So I'm still having those conversations, but with this, now we can really start to get the ball rolling slowly but surely by getting the private sector involved in that. Does that answer your question?
Sort of, yeah, but I can take this offline maybe with you, because my thinking is that we need to, like, we need this in every township, like.
Absolutely,
like
Tawanda. Absolutely. So let's have a private conversation if you don't mind.
Yes.
And that'll be great. You and I, are we connected on LinkedIn? I'm sure we are.
Yes, I get this through LinkedIn. Yeah.
Smashing. So please, while you're on the computer, drop me a message now and say, hey, let's talk. And then we can make a plan as soon as possible. Perfect. From Durban. Okay, let me see. Done. How do you evaluate individual? This is from Benjamin van As. How do you evaluate individual business opportunities at scale, or do you take an industry, go for specific opportunity that create multiple jobs up and down the value chain? That's a very good question. And yes and no. People come to us without any ideas. If they do come with ideas, that's fine. We don't mind. They will find it themselves. That is good. But no, for now, we don't get stuck in the scaling part of that. Once people start making money and they start thinking, then you can start having that conversation with them. I think sometimes we just try to do too much too quickly, and that can scare people off. Nico de Klerk, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I just want to know, I mean, there's a couple of initiatives that is going on, and I'm busy with work in this field myself.
Yes, Nico.
So I was wondering about synergy, working together. Question is, well, how to get together. I'm based in Cape Town, Wellington.
Yeah. Why the Cape Townians always have to say, yeah, I live in Cape Town? You're bragging or complaining. I'm just kidding there. Okay, no, Nico, absolutely. This is not an individual initiative. That's why I work with other organizations. Like I said earlier in the webinar, look at the value chain. You have to look at the whole value chain. I'm very niched high up the value chain. So I get people who society otherwise just looks at and go like, you're going to be a worker your whole life. And I get them to get into this, and that feeds into so absolute synergies. That's why I said, if you have a new, different idea of applying this, working together, let's do it. So I'm talking to ACT Africa. They help people out of human trafficking, but they quickly fall back into it again. So with this process, I help to keep them out of human trafficking. And I'm talking to a few other organizations to do that as well. So yeah, Niku, please reach out to me.
I'll do just good work, but I've been, I stayed in Gauteng for many years. So
Yes.
Beach Road in Diepsloot, for instance, is one of my favorite places. You know, I've been working there.
Yes. Okay.
But I think it's also time for us to get together and pull our resources.
No, absolutely. So yeah, I love that. While you're on the computer, just shot into LinkedIn and just go like, hey, let's talk. And otherwise, my brain will forget. Cool. Is it
Thank you.
possible to implement the same approach in rural communities through agricultural activities? And that's from Skolo. I believe, yes, absolutely. We are running a test in a rural community in Q3 in Mpumalanga, but also I'm talking to a few other companies where we're going to do rural communities. Instead, what we do is also stretch the program and adapt it a little bit for a few good reasons. To make it applicable there, but absolutely, you know, let's go and run a few tests in rural environments. The same thing can be applied there. Leon will, okay, absolutely love what you're doing. We need volume ASAP. Okay, cool. Understanding poverty. Cool. Any other questions from people? I hear a lot of let's work together. So if you can't sponsor a job, maybe what can you do? Whom can you connect us with? How can we get this going? And think about, like I was talking to an incubator in Asia the other day, and they work with companies $100,000 to $300,000 in annual revenue. But the guy said to me, you know, in 2 years' time, we're going to run out of businesses because it's getting less. Now with you, we can really empower this. So there's a lot of applications awakening masses to the wonders of entrepreneurship. And we can do it now cost effectively, sustainably, and quickly, like never, ever before. So if you like this initiative, if you want to support this initiative, please get involved, you know, reach out to me, and let's make it happen. Any other questions? Just raise your hand or unmute yourself and talk, and then we can make a plan. Perfect. I think that is then time for us to bring this to an end. If you want to hang around and have a chat with me, that's fine. But I want to thank everybody for attending this. I will be reaching out to you after this. I'll send you a recording, but also a document about Pass the Torch that you can take a look at. And yeah, let's set up meetings. Let's get meetings going and have the conversation and make it happen. And if you have a possibility of getting the 25 agri-entrepreneurs sponsored, please talk to me urgently so that we can help those 25 people. I want to thank you for that. And that's great. Thank you. Thank you, Eugenie. Appreciate it. And Elise, love the idea. We'll talk to you soon. Lovely. It'll be great to connect with you again. Thank you from Annelie. And yeah, I wish everybody a great day further.